Morning and welcome, guys. Now we are going to start with the next beat of the chapter, software testing. Title for the today's interaction is test planning. So what is software testing, how to perform the software testing, what are the levels of software testing, what are the methods to perform the testing like black box testing, white box testing. This part we have done so far. Now we are focusing on the term called as what? Test planning. Now what does the meaning of test planning? As the name suggests, the tester has to perform the task based on some documentations, and the name of that documentation we are calling as a test planning. So that is test document. And that test document is known as test plan. So what does, let's understand first what does mean by the test plan. So test plan is a systematic approach to testing a system. System is the application, the product which is under testing scenario. That is the plan typically contains a detailed understanding of what the eventual testing workflow will be. Means, being as a tester, what you are going to do, how you are going to perform the testing, maybe a manual or maybe an automation. These all the things are detailed discussed in one document, and that name of that document is test plan. Next is test case. Now what is meaning of test case? It is description. So that test plan, it just tells what to do, how to do, when to do, but the detailed description of that test plan is in test case. So the test case is a specific procedure of the testing for a particular requirement, which covers identification of specific requirement that to be tested, test success, failure criteria, specific steps to execute the test, and the test data. So simplest idea is what we can say is test case is a one document which covers inputs towards the output, means to the expected result, actual result, and comparative with that. To complete the testing, you need some inputs from the user side, that is inputs, that all the things are get collected in one document, and that document we are calling as a test case document. So what the things we covered so far? What is test plan? Second is test case. So this is what the sample example for the test case. As I rightly said, test case is the simplest document which describes to a tester what he or she is supposed to perform from start to end. So test case name, overview, test script description, components to be tested, then the entry criteria, exit criteria, passing criteria, then who is going to perform that task, name of that tester, when the expected start time, test date, end date, components, and the most important part is the last few lines what you can find out. Step number 1, description. For example, I'm going to test an Gmail page. So description, open internet browser. Action, what will be an action? So action, the steps what you are going to get follow is described there as a part of action. So open internet browser. Now which browser you can use, they have to give as a input. Then after opening a browser, what is expected result? The browser should start. Now you will follow the same steps and you will observe whether the browser is started or not. If it is started, you will write down it in actual result, browser started. Now expected result, actual result, both are same. We can say that the test case is pass. If there is a deviation in actual result and expected result, we call test case as a fail. So this is the job of a tester. They simply need to follow all the steps, and the steps are described in test case. So test case is one document which help us to a software tester what he or she is supposed to perform throughout the testing life cycle. Maybe a manual testing or maybe an automation testing. So what does the test plan document cover so far? It defines the scope, approach to be taken, schedule of the testing, as well as it identifies the test items for entire testing process. Test plan must be done before the testing start and must be done parallel with design and coding activities. Inputs for the test plan are project plan, requirement document, system design document, means nothing but what we can say project idea, SRS, and your software system design reports, maybe low level design, maybe high level design. So basically all types of diagrams. These are the inputs for the test plan. Now test plan should contain the unit specification. As we know, the testing cannot be done as a separate part, or don't wait for the testing, or one testing cannot be done at a single point. We have to divide this into different levels, like unit testing, integration testing, module testing, system testing, and the last is user acceptance testing. So based on that, we have to have a specific task in each level of the testing. So based on that unit testing specifications, what we are going to be tested and that particular level, then to perform the testing, which approach we are going to use, what will be the deliverable after the testing, what will be the schedule that we are going to follow. All the things will be discussed as a part of test plan. Next, test unit in details. So what does the test unit? Test unit is a set of module with all associated data. Features to be tested, it is talking about the different modules or different functionalities, out of which all the functionalities cannot be tested in a single point. So which points, what type of a testing, which module you are going to testing, these all the things will be discussed as the features to be tested. Testing approach decides the testing criteria. The testing criteria means either possible to cover all the steps in a manual way or in an automated way, that we have to discuss, or maybe a combination of both. Testing deliverables, talking about the specified in the test plan before an actual testing begins. Deliverable could be list of defect found. So output of the testing is result. That result is test case is pass or test case is fail. If test case is pass, means expected result, actual result, both are same, no need to worry. If there is a deviation, it means the test case is failed. The test case is failed means something wrong, and that wrong we are calling as a problems. And in technical language, problems we are saying maybe defect, maybe a bug. So output of the testing is a defect. So we have to manage that defect in a proper ways. So for that we are going to study one more concept there, titled as defect life cycle, in upcoming parts. So are you clear with the concept called as what? Test plan, test case. Now we will precisely focus on test case specifications after covering the test plan. Now what does the test case specification means? Simply remember, it is a set of documents. So what does it covers? It covers the specified for the testing unit. It is a major activity in the testing process, and it gives idea about the each unit to be tested, input to be used in the test case. If you remember that Excel sheet what I have shown to you, conditions, expected outcome, these all the things are nothing but test case specification. Remember it. It is just a simple Excel sheet. Each steps has to be get mentioned over there, and being as a tester they have to follow that all the steps. Next, after completion of the testing, as I rightly said, the output of the testing is bug. When the bug will be there, defect or the problem will be there. If it is a deviation in expected result and actual result, we will call it as one bug. So we have to manage that all the bugs in a proper way. And to manage that bugs means, as a tester I found the problems. So I have to report that problem back to my development team. Now development team will take efforts to reduce or to minimize or to remove that defects. And after removing the defect means they will do some changes in the code, and after making a changes in the code they will assign that code back to me for the testing purpose. Then I will check whether the defect is again there or not, and to remove that effect, whatever the changes they have made in the code, whether that change has introduced any new defect to that model as well as to other model, that I need to check each and everything. That process we are calling as a defect logging and tracking, and it works in a simplest module called as a defect life cycle, or sometimes referred as a bug life cycle. So bug means the problem, so this is the life cycle. Simply remember, it covers the phases like new. The first being as a tester, they find out it, they have to confirm it. After confirmation, we will call it as what? Bug. Means suppose, let's take a simple example. You got a key of your bike and you are just inserted the key into your bike and you are trying to start your bike. Unfortunately, bike has not started, means there is a problem. We call it as what? Bug. Now what you find out as a problem, you have to confirm it whether it is real a problem or not. So what you did the same process in second attempt, and fortunately your bike started. Means is there any bug? Definitely no. So whatever you find out in first attempt, you have to confirm it in the second attempt by following the same process. So we call it as what? Retesting. The same procedure followed to confirm the previous result, that type of a testing we call the retesting. And if the retesting is performed and you find out the same problem, we will call it as what? Bug. And what type of bug it is? It is a new bug. Now you find out the problem. Now to remove that problem, you have to assign that bug to someone. So next stage is assigned. After assign, to whom you will assign? We will assign definitely to a developer. Now developer tries to resolve it. So it comes into the next step called as what? Resolve step. Now developer will take efforts to resolve it, and if it is successfully resolved by doing some verification, means again the developer follows the same process to confirm the problem, and if it is confirmed, we will call it as what? Verified. After verified, he will make a changes in the code and he will close that defect. If it is not verified, it is still reopen for the next team, or maybe is a higher authority, and higher authority or the test manager will confirm this. If it is confirmed that this may not be an error, it goes to a next level called as one? Deferred. So simply remember, this is a bug life cycle. I have represented it in one more simplest form: new, open, assign, fixed, close, reopen, deferred or rejected. If it is not at all a defect, it should be get straight away rejected by the developer teams. So this is what your bug life cycle. Simply remember the diagram, previous one or this one, as per your convenient. Now we are moving towards the last bit of the chapter, different types of testing. So there are basically 9 different types of testing, but we will work it with this in a different manners, because one point is related to another point. So based on that, we will discuss the different types of testing. So simply remember, ISTQB, International Software Testing Quality Board, has specified 32 different types of testing, but out of which we will just focus on 9 types as a part of your syllabus. So first type of a testing, unit testing, basic level, if you are remembering, as part of levels of testing. So unit testing, each module is tested individually, means person A has developed that particular module, has to perform that testing. We will call it as a unit testing. It follows the simple white box testing, because the entire logic of that code unit is open to the developers. So it is normally done by the developers. Next is integration testing, next level. We'll continue with the same example. Suppose calculator is the software, and calculator has basic 4 modules like addition, 4 units rather, we can say: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Addition done by A, subtraction done by team B, division by done C, and multiplication by division D. So this A, B, C, D team will perform their own task at their own level. That type of a testing we are calling unit testing. Now after doing their unit testing, A and B coming together and performing testing by combining 2 different modules, we are calling integration testing. Now this process will be repeated till to get the entire system, we will call it as a system testing. Now to perform the integration testing, we may have four approaches. Now what is the four approaches to perform the integration testing? So we can start from the base model, moving towards an higher model, bottom up model, or we can start with the top model and moving back towards the lower level, that is we are calling top down approach, or we can use combination of this called as what, sandwich model, where both approaches are done with the end of stubs and drivers, or sometimes it is a mixed approach also. We are calling simply as an integration testing. Next is system testing. The way we were compiled the integration testing, next part is system testing. Simply remember, after completion of unit and integration testing through white box testing technique, development team release an executable build, means the entire modules are ready. They are just need to get verify with the help of some other approaches, and the basic approach changing in the system testing is a black box testing. Earlier in both cases it was a white box testing approach, now it is an black box testing approach. Now what are the things we are going to cover in the system testing? We'll check its a usability. So it is a type of usability testing. It is going to check the functionality, functional testing, performance testing, and security testing. So system testing covers the four types of a testing: usability testing, functionality testing, performance testing, security testing. Let's take example of each. The usability testing means, normally we says that the software must be user friendly. To make the software user friendly, what you are going to do? Maybe writing a software in your local language, like this. So we are calling it as what, usability testing. User friendly, GUI, graphical user interface, whether it's user friendly or not. Means if we take a famous example of two operating systems, one is a Windows, second is the Linux. So both are operating systems. Out of that both operating systems, which whose GUI is better? Normally you will say that definitely in Windows, because the closing button to the left side, closing button to the right side in respective operating system. So this is the way they are going to represent. So which is more user friendly, we have to just check. That is type of testing we are calling usability testing. Second is functionality testing. Means functionality means all the functional modules are present in the system or not, all the functions properly working or not. We are calling it as one, functional testing. Next is performance testing. Means to execute the particular operation, how much time your system takes. That is what we are calling as a performance testing. Means simplest example, as I have one system ATM machine, it has a different functionality like withdraw, balance check, and suppose I have selected one functionality, withdraw, and that ATM machine took 1 hour to give you the money. Will you use that machine second time? Definitely not. Means which factor you have considered here? The response time of that ATM machine. So response time is measured as a performance time. Suppose 10 users at a time going to access a website, and your website is working fine, but imagine the number increased more than 100, your system starts performing slow. That type of a testing we are calling performance testing. Second is security testing. Now security testing means whether your system is vulnerable to an attacks or not, how your system is secured by various attacks. That should be get tested, sometimes by penetrations, hackers tries to by many other purposes are there to access, to get an access of your system. That type of a testing we are calling as a security testing. So this all comes as a part of your system testing. As I rightly said, which factors you will take into consideration about the usability testing? User interface, look and feel, speed in interface, manual support test. This all comes as a part of your usability testing. Next example I have seen here. So Yahoo website logo, the operations, different models, how they have represented. Next is functional testing, as the name suggests. Again we will go with simple example. Previous example same. In the Yahoo, these are the two things. ID, password, functionality check. When I click on sign in, whether it is allowing me to enter if my credentials are correct, if my credentials are wrong. Based on that, it must allow me either sign in or sign error respectively. That is called as a functionality check. Now once your system is open, how much different modules are there, and that module how you are going to work out. Next is your performance testing. In performance testing, load testing is there, stress testing is there, data volume testing is there. So load testing, scalability testing. Stress testing is nothing to check the peak load, and data volume testing, number of users at a time that we are going to test. So performance testing always does with the help of these three factors: load, stress, and data volume testing. Next is security testing. Testing how well the system process protects against the unauthorized internal or external access. Means security testing plays an important role depending on the three important parts as we discussed in the class, that is authentication, authorization, and privileges. So based on that authentication, authorization, and privileges, your system access must be again decided whether it happens or not. That type of a testing we are calling security testing. Now next part is sanity testing. As the name says, it is a cursory testing. It is performed whenever a cursory testing is sufficient to prove the application is functioning according to the specifications. This level of testing is simply a subset of regression testing. Now regression testing is nothing but a testing you have done, and some of the changes you find out, and that changes you have reported to the developers. Developer made some changes in the code, and developer returned back the code to you in one module. Means as I rightly said, the one example, 4 modules A, B, C, D, and you find out problem in module B. You reported back it to the developer team. Developer team has made changes in B module. Now when you integrate B module with rest of the other modules, whether it is going to make any change in other modules or not, that type of a testing we are calling simply as a sanity testing. So it normally includes a set of course like basic GUI functionality, connectivity to the database, applications, servers, printers, etc. Next is smoke testing. Is it again a non-exhaustive software testing, asserting that the most crucial functions of the program works but not bothering with finer details. Means as the name suggests, smoke test. In case of ATM applications, the mostly used tools are withdraw and balance. To transfer and all this, no need to get worried. Which are the mostly used modules of the system will be tested. That type of a testing we are calling smoke testing. Alpha testing, these are the types of user acceptance testing. The software is developed by the development team, tested by the testers, and they feels okay. Now they call the user. Before accepting, the user performs a testing called as what? User acceptance testing, and it is done at developer sites under controlled conditions. We call it as one alpha testing. As I rightly said, acceptance testing means suppose if you want to purchase a pen and you are at a shop, the salesperson shows you the pen, you like it by its a feel good and all, means factors whatever you want to budget all this, but before making a final decisions, you as a user, before accepting the product, tries to write something on the page. That is, before accepting the product you perform the testing. It is known as acceptance testing. And yes, you perform the testing at customers at the shop sites, we call it as what? Alpha testing. And if that person comes to your side and gives a demonstration of it, we call it as what? Beta testing. Next is regression testing. As rightly we said, testing with the intent of determining if bug fixes have been successfully and have not created any new problems, that we are calling as a regression testing. There is also one type of a testing called as what? Retesting. So there is a difference between regression testing and retesting. Monkey testing. Testing the applications randomly, like hitting keys irregularly as like a monkey jumping from no any fixed pattern as he wants. from one side to other sides. Similarly, not following any sequence, not following any procedures, we are calling monkey testing, wandering from one place to another place. So testing the applications randomly, like hitting keys irregularly, and try to break down the system. There is no specific test case and scenarios for monkey testing. This is a general software testing process, how the testing scenario goes and all the parts. Not part of your syllabus, but you must aware, because in next semester, next year probably, you may have one separate subject named as software testing and quality assurance, where you are going to work on this. So thank you for watching me. I hope you are enjoying my sessions. For more detail, please log on to my blog or YouTube channel. Thank you.